Hi, welcome back to the garden. Let's see what's growing this week. So clearly I have not got around to changing out the wood on that raised bed. Maybe next week. Now, over here, the lemongrass. This one plant is lemongrass, the rest is just an overgrown bed. Honestly, I'm not sure how that's doing. It may need more water than it's been getting. We've got rain a few times this week, but otherwise haven't watered. Swiss chard is, honestly, I'm not harvesting this. It's just kind of growing wild, but boy is it growing. And then over here, the eggplant is continuing to do well. It's getting bigger. We've got flowers on it, as you can see there. I don't think there's any fruits starting though, it's just the flowers. Yeah, that one's got flower, flower, flower. And then down here we have our unknown, possibly, what's it called? Well, it might, avocado. Might be an avocado tree, we're not really sure. We had all sorts of scrap get thrown in this bed, and some of it had seeds in it that grew. So we're just going to see what that turns into. Now over here, the chili laboyos, just that plant, those three, seem to be doing very well. If I get lower, you can see they're getting kind of, and get out, so they're not in the shade. They're definitely getting bigger. So like if I put my hand there, you can kind of see for scale. It's about 7 inches, 8 inches, something like that. So these seem to be doing really well here in the full sunlight. And then the, I still can't remember what these are called. It's a Filipino plant. It's actually what you get jute out of for fabric, but its leaves taste really good when they're slightly boiled in vinegar, and that's producing well. It got harvested. You can see where some of this got harvested, just the ends were cut off during harvesting, and it's putting on some new leaves there. So this is all just for greens, and it's doing pretty well. Now the Thai chilies, I noticed something interesting as I came out here. If you look at these, all of these chilies were planted about the same time, and we get lower, you can see we got little pepper, over there's another little pepper. On the other side we have some little peppers, and then we got Goliath here. Just maybe my tallest pepper. Let me put my hand there for comparison. That's getting pretty good sized. Oh, and it's even starting to put on fruit, which is actually kind of surprising given how small it is. But oh, put on flowers. That's a little flower bud hanging down there. So hopefully the rest of them will continue to get bigger. Now, I started these late. Normally you can top peppers, which basically means you cut the stem off, younger than that. And it forms a Y, and each of those Ys grows up and you get more peppers total out of the plant. Now, I started these late, so I'm not going to do that because it takes longer to get your first harvest if you do that. And over here, we've got the tomato plants. You go to the other side so the camera will pick them up better. And these are going to be a couple feet tall. Now, I have had some just die off. Like, you can see there's a gap there. And I think there's a tomato plant over there and one there that's died off. But for the most part, they seem to be doing pretty well. Now, these are a determinate tomato. And one thing I've kind of noticed looking at them is there's very few suckers. If you're familiar with tomato anatomy, basically if you look at, you've got this little plant coming out in the armpit. That's called a sucker. So like you got one regular branch there, the main stem, and this little thing's called a sucker. Now, most people will prune those off because they do take resources from the plant, and you'll get better production if you remove them. On the other hand, if you let the sucker get 6 to 8 inches long, cut it off and just put it in the ground, it'll actually grow roots and form a completely new tomato plant that's a clone of the parent plant. Actually, as I look closely in there, my hand behind it, we've got the beginning of flowers forming on this. So hopefully we'll begin tomatoes soon. Over here in this bed, these were kind of my overflow Thai chilies, just got planted here. And some of them are doing okay, some of them aren't. Obviously the bed needs to be weeded because I got a bunch of grass growing. It's grass, I try to get if I see them stringing along the ground, because those runners form new grass and then it's harder to deal with later if it gets out of control. So when they start throwing out runners, I need to come out here and grab them. Like that runner, that's a priority for weeding. Yeah, this hasn't been weeded enough. I need to come out here and catch up on it. This will do better if you can get the roots out, but I'll settle for just taking the tops out. Okay, I'll come back out here and do this later. Now, I had some volunteer tomato plants. These just magically showed up. I had tomatoes planted here last year, so it was probably just seeds from that. And as you can see, this one's starting to put on flowers. I'm pretty sure this is cherry tomatoes that I'm gonna get out of these. Get some more weeds out of there. Grass with runners. Weeding is fun and annoying at the same time. Yeah, this is kind of looking before I rip. Yay, weeding. Okay. It's also kind of addictive once you get started weeding, you just kind of go. And I know I'm not getting the roots out. It would be nice to get the roots out, but I don't have time for doing all that. Anyways, and down here, this whole patch is more volunteer tomatoes. They just kind of came out of the ground, probably fruit that fell on the ground and turned to seed last year, and that is starting to put on some flowers. Actually, it's putting on a bunch of flowers. And somewhere over here in this forest, yeah, there they are. They got fruit starting. So this is probably going to give me, that looks like cherry tomatoes, but I had several varieties planted over here, and we'll just see what we get. And over here is the calamansi tree, just continuing to be happy and healthy. That's taller than my knee, so it's definitely getting there. Now this tree is 2.5 years old, maybe 3 years old at this point. We had a hard freeze last winter, and basically the entire tree died off all the way to the ground and then regrew. Like you can actually see down here, that is from the part that died off over the winter, just dead stuff. But the root ball survived and came back up. So we've got that growing. If you're wondering why it's surrounded by U-posts, that's so we don't accidentally run the lawnmower over it. So, got growth, not really any fruit to speak of, but we're definitely getting there. How's y'all's gardens doing? Almost forgot to mention Shavuot's Shav, but I can't pronounce it right, the Hebrew version, but the Festival of Weeks is this Sunday. If you don't know what that is, get out your Bible, Leviticus 23. I think it starts around verse 15. Sunday, at least according to my math.